Hello everybody, I am Shitabane, a card designer with the Arakai TCG, back at it with episode 2 of our new player guide. In the last episode, we learned all about how to read Arakai cards. Well, now it's time to put those reading skills to the test. Today I am fighting myself on an alt account, because I want to go ahead and show you all what an Arakai game really looks like. And furthermore, this will be a tutorial on kind of how to play the game. Because now that you know how to read those cards, it's probably time that I show you how to use those cards. After all, you can't get hyped for a game you don't know how to play, right? So, in this example, I will be making the first move on my main account. Typically, in a duel, you would each roll a dice. You roll a d20, both of you do, and then the player who rolls higher gets to decide if they go first or second. So I will be drawing my 6 cards right here. And the opponent, who is also me, will also draw those 6 cards. In Arakai, you get 6 cards for your starting hand. Now, in Arakai, you do have an option of mulliganing. And with our mulligan, the way it works is you would put your entire hand on the bottom of your deck, draw 6 new cards, then shuffle. I will not be doing that mulligan here today, as I think this hand is perfectly fine on both accounts. Now, I'm going to show you the starting spirit. If you remember from the first video, spirit. At the start of the game, you play the top 2 cards from your deck. Those 2 cards are your starting spirit. Looks like I've got a Pack of Drazari Denka and a Valorous Last Stand. I am not using these cards. They are part of my spirit. Now the opponent here gets a Rising Water and an Avalon. I'm using the old starter decks for this video. So this is a Primal Blaze deck versus a Haven Title deck. Now, as the player going first, I do not get a draw phase. However, I still get my spirit phase. Spirit phase is where I draw 1 card, and now I have to pick a singular card from my hand to put into my spirit. I think I'll put away this Chi-Hao for now. You can also get rid of the Grismo. Bit of a tough call. I think I'll just get rid of this Chi-Hao for now. Now then, we're going to start our turn off pretty simple. I'm going to restrain 1 spirit to invoke this level 1 ally, this Grismo, the trusted salesman. He's very trusting. You're going to go ahead and activate his effect right now. I'm going to discard a hand card. Which hand card do I want to get rid of here? I think for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to just get rid of the Javelin of Cinders here. It's going to let me draw 1 card from my deck. Let's say I drew into another aura. This card is an aura that, while on my field during my turn, allies controlled it 2,000 power. And I can only control 1 of the spell. I'm going to end my turn there. I'm going first. I don't get a battle phase. No combat for me, and of course, no main phase 2. We'll end our turn there. It's now the title Haven player's turn, and let's see what they get up to. Now, because they are going second, they do get their draw phase, allowing them to draw 1 card from their deck and their spirit phase, so basically drawing 2 cards. Now they have to place a card from their spirit, their hand, into the spirit. Looks like in this case, they are going to be spiriting a Frilled Serpent here. Let's see how they counter my play. They're going to be restraining 3 spirit by the looks of it to play what's coming down? A level 3 ally, the Sacred Valkyrie, a level 3 Haven ally. Now note, they do have a Haven spirit, so they are able to invoke this Haven ally. Because remember, in Arakai, you need to have the same type of nation in your spirit so you can play those cards. If I want to play this Haven ally, gotta restrain a Haven spirit. Just like I wanted to play this Blaze ally, had to have a Blaze spirit in there. Simple as. Haven needs Haven, Title needs Title, Primal needs Primal, etc., etc. But now, that player is going to be able to go Sacred Valkyrie over my Grismo, completely annihilating it. Its power is 2,000 to my Grismo's only 8,000. It's not even a contest, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the end of their turn. Well, this is a problem. None of my monsters are stronger than 20,000 power. That is a big, beefy vanilla. Let's see how I get out of this. I'm going to draw my 2 cards because I'm drawing 1 for my draw phase and 1 for my spirit phase. I don't really need another Grismo right now, so I think I'll put that guy away. Untap is sometimes a little annoying, but c'est la vie. I'll spirit my Grismo for my spirit phase, and we're into our main phase now. What do I want to do with my main phase, guys? There's a lot I could do here. I'm going to show you guys a mechanic that wasn't talked about in my initial video. I'm going to show you how to support. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to restrain 2 spirit here to play Dragonic Shock Trooper. Now, during my attack phase, he gets 5,000 power off his perma effect. That's pretty good, but that's still not big enough. Not a problem. I'm going to restrain one more spirit to play my level 1 Faunus Spirit Caller. This card has a trig effect, so when it's invoked, I target a face-up card my spirit. What do I want to target here? I think I'll target this Chi-Hao. So by targeting that with my Faunus, I can place a hand card in my spirit restrained and add that card to my hand. I think I'm going to get rid of this Dragonic Warcry and add that Chi-Hao to my hand, allowing me to manipulate my spirit phase outside. Manipulate my spirit outside of my spirit phase. Now it's time for combat. I've got a few options here. Because their ally is restrained and not blocking them, I could just swing right at their life points for 2 damage. Because remember, the direct damage is equal to the level of the ally attacking. I could do that. Note that if this ally was engaged, meaning that if it was still like this, or it's still upright, then that would mean that I could not do that because this ally would be engaged and being able to block the life points. However, because this ally is restrained, it's in no position to defend the life points. So, what do I do? Well, I can't kill this thing, right? That's where you're wrong. Time to show you a mechanic called supporting. I'm going to use my Dragonic Shot Trooper to declare an attack on Sacred Valkyrie. My opponent gets a window of opportunity where they can have a response or not. However, my opponent has no response at all. I'm going to now enter my support phase, where I can now support. What's happening here? Well, after my attack is successfully declared, I have an option to support with any additional allies. What supporting does is it takes the power of that ally, so the ally is Faunus Spirit Caller here, has 8,000, and adds that power to the Dragonic Shot Trooper, meaning that not only does it get 5,000 from its own effect, it gets an additional 8,000 from the supporting Faunus Spirit Caller. I have to restrain that Faunus to support, meaning it can't do an attack of its own, but that 8,000 power is going to aid my Dragonic Shot Trooper to slaughter this Sacred Valkyrie. And because that Sacred Valkyrie has one drawback, my opponent is now going to take 1 single point of damage, putting them down to 19. Forgot to mention, in Arakai you start with 20 life, just like in Magic the Gathering. I could do more things, but none of these cards are particularly activatable right now, so I'm going to just end my turn here. It's now my opponent's turn. Their turn begins by unrestraining all their spirit, just like mine did. I'm going to draw 2 cards on the opponent. My opponent's now going to go 4 spirit. I wonder what they're going to play here. I think what we're going to do is spirit this. Traveling Cleric of Avalon. We don't really need that card right now. In turn, they're going to restrain 2 spirits to play the Scavenger Crab. Now, Scavenger Crab, as soon as it loads on the screen here, is a level 2 ally that has a trig effect that when cards are discarded from your opponent's deck during your turn, expend a spirit, draw a card. I think I'm going to be building some cards here soon, folks. And sure enough, my opponent casts the Hydro Burst spell following up their crab. What this does is it expends 1 spirit to force the opponent to discard the top 3 cards of their deck. So now, I have to go and discard 3 cards from the top of my deck straight to the graveyard. Those 3 cards are gonzo. Let's see what we milled. We moved a Runic Ritualist, a powerful trig effect, another Dragonic Warcry, and another Chi-Hao. But I have a feeling that's not all, because now their Scavenger Crab gets to activate. By expending 1 more spirit, turning that spirit face down, the Scavenger Crab lets them draw 1 card off that Hydro Burst. So in turn, my opponent has gotten rid of 3 of my cards off my deck and drawn 1 of their own. A pretty powerful play. But it looks like they're not done yet either, playing the Saphira's Attendant. Using this ally, they can discard any spell from their hand to draw a card and unexpend with Spirit. Remember what I said about unexpending? This is a card effect that lets them do so. So as we can see here, the Saphira's Attendant, discard a spell, draw 1, unexpend 1. So they're going to get 1 of their spirit back, which means it comes back face up, another resource for them to use, and they get to draw a card. But that's not all. If you look at what they discarded Harmony. This is a spell that has a trig effect. So when it's discarded for the hand for the cost effect of your angel, which Saphira's Attendant is, they can search their deck for up to 1 Harmony and add it to their hand. So that's exactly what my opponent's going to do. They're going to search their deck now for a copy of Harmony and get it back. So if they did a pretty powerful resource game compared to whatever I'm doing, I might be in a bit of a pickle here. But it looks like they're still not done yet. Restraining their last and final spirit, playing the Frilled Serpent ally. Frilled Serpent ally is a perma that you can only control one of it, but it also has a trigger effect. When your opponent declares an attack, I have to discard the top card of my deck. So this is going to punish me for recklessly attacking. Looks like my opponent is ready for offense, and they used their Scavenger Crab to attack my Dragonic Shock Trooper, and then support step with Saphira's Attendant. This is a pretty powerful play. He's killing my guy with his 2 allies, doing exactly what I did. And hitting me for 1 damage because my Dragonic Shock Trooper has 1 drawback. And now, much like I talked about before, that Frilled Serpent is going to attack me right at my life points because Fauna's Spirit Caller is in no position to defend me. It's restrained. So, bypassing my monster, it comes right for my life points, knocking me down to 18, and suddenly I'm losing. Entering their second main phase, my opponent throws down the Tsunami Aura, as well as 1 more Aura. The Halo Ascension. Remember this card from the last video? This lets him reduce the drawback of his allies at a swift speed. And the Tsunami is going to force me to mill a card at the end of every one of their turns. So as they end their turn, I am now forced to mill the top card of my deck. Losing another powerful creature. Well, I think it's time for some payback. That sounded super cringy, I'm very sorry. I draw 2 cards. I picked up a Dragon Spawn, a level 4 vanilla monster, and a Runic Ritualist. Well, I don't really have a good use for this card right now, so I think I'm going to put him in my spirit. I think it's time to choose violence. I'm going to restrain 5 spirit to summon a guy from my Shaman video. By expending the Genka and the Valor's Last Stand, I'm paying the cost to invoke Druzari, Enlightened Walker, from my hand. Druzari Enlightened Walker has a trigger effect that when he's invoked, I can target a level 2 or lower ally of my spirit and invoke it without paying its level cost. So we're going to go ahead and invoke that. We're going to invoke that Genka that we just expended earlier. So here comes Genki. He's coming out to play. But that's not all. I now have to place the top card of my deck into my spirit face down and restrained. So it doesn't even come in unexpended. It comes in expended prematurely. So this here Charged Elemental is pretty much going to be worthless. It's restrained, which means it comes in sideways, and expended, which means it's upside down, and I can't expend it for any card effects. However, my Genka now gets its effect. Due to its perma, the turn it's invoked from your spirit, it gets 10,000 power, boosting it to a massive 24,000 attack points. This is pretty darn powerful. Now, I am going to have to be milling some cards here. I use my Pact of Druzari Genka to walk over this Scavenger Crab. This is going to trigger their Frilled Serpent's effect, which, if you remember correctly, forced me to discard a card from my top of my deck every time I declare an attack. So now the top card of my deck is going to the graveyard yet again. I discard a Valorous Last Stand, but the Scavenger Crab does go down. It's no match for the powerful 24,000 power Genka. And I could kill either of these weenies, but I decided to go ballsy. I use my Druzari to attack them right in the face for massive damage, knocking them all the way down to 13 life total. There's nothing they can do. However, I do still have to discard a card for that Frilled Serpent again. This time, I'm going to play smart. I'm going to leave this Fauna's Spirit Caller engaged to protect my life points. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn now. Now it's my opponent's turn to hit 5 spirit. Let's see if they have any sort of comeback. Picking up 2 cards from their deck, they go ahead and spirit that Harmony they added to their hand last turn. Something tells me they won't be discarding it off any angels anytime soon. And sure enough, here comes their level 5. The big bad Megalo Tidal Leviathan. When it's invoked, it gets to target one of my restrained allies, and next turn that target doesn't engage during my normal start step. And I have to mill cards equal to its drawback. My Druzari is frozen in place, and suddenly I'm in a very bad position. They They proceed to combat and use their Saphira's Attendant to suicide into Faunus Spirit Caller here. These cards have the same power, which means they kill themselves, and neither player takes any drawback damage. Finally, the Meduo Tidal Leviathan is going to take its snack out of my Genka, killing it and dealing me 1 point of damage. While I might be winning in terms of life points, my only ally is now frozen for an entire turn, and I have to mill 3 cards off the top of my deck. Needless to say, my deck is getting pretty low, and that's not even all. Tsunami is to make me mill an additional card. My deck's looking pretty thin right now. But their turn ends. My Druzari stays restrained. But it's my turn now. It's time to draw some cards. We picked up a Runic Connection as well as a Vrosh Weapon Enthusiast. This card, unfortunately, is not very useful here. There's no level 2 or lower restrained allies for this to blow up, so it is the obvious choice for my Spirit phase this turn. Now that I'm looking at my hand, there's just not a lot I'm really working with here. I need to find a way to clear this board, and quick. One with Earth Chi-Hao gets 2,000 power for every card in my Spirit, and there are 6. Meaning, right now, it would go up to 24,000 power. That's pretty good, but it doesn't exactly get over anything. Or does it? It's time to show you guys a combo. I restrain all 6 of my Spirit to play 2 level 3 allies, expending the Spirit for Chi-Hao. As a reminder, I now have 6 cards in my Spirit, meaning one with Earth Chi-Hao is 24,000 power, gaining 12k power. And I invoked the Bladed Savage. Neither of these monsters can kill this Meduo, but let's see if that matters. First of all, Bladed Savage is going to declare an attack on the Froze Serpent, forcing me to mill a card. Looks like I'm milling yet another big guy. And the Halo Ascension will be chained here to make it so this level 2 or lower ally has 1 less drawback this turn, so they'll be taking no damage off this Froze Serpent dying. However, Bladed Savage just attacked, so by expending 1 Spirit, I can now re-engage my Bladed Savage. However, it gives it minus 9,000 power, reducing it to only 8,000, and that's only level 1 right now. Still not enough, unless you remember the support mechanic. One with Earth Chi-Hao attacks into Meduo Tidal Leviathan and is supported by Bladed Savage, giving it an extra 8,000 power, more than enough to destroy the Leviathan, dealing them an extra 3 damage, putting us in a substantial lead. Our board is massive. I don't see what the opponent could do at this juncture. They picked up 2 cards from the top of their deck. What will they do? Looks like they begin with the Spiriting of a Medallion Arcanist, a really cool level 2 that when it's invoked, lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a spell with Aura among them and add to your hand. That won't be used this turn, evidently. Instead, we see the return of the Scavenger Crab, a card that lets them draw whenever I mill, and sure enough, they have a spell that's going to make me mill cards right now. I have to now discard the top card of my deck because they control a title ally, and now they get to draw a card. However, they're going to draw an extra card because of Scavenger Crab, meaning that this spell just basically drew them 2 extra cards to help fix their hand. Not exactly the position I want to be in. Still, they fight on, and they follow it up by invoking the Bone Tooth Leviathan, a level 3 Leviathan that, when it's invoked, I have to discard the top 2 cards of my deck, and if a spell is discarded, they can spend 1 Spirit to draw another card. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to discard 2 cards. Let's see if we mill a spell, ladies and gentlemen. Do we roll a spell? We do not. We hit 2 monsters, an Igneo as well as a Vrosh. They will not be drawing any more cards today. However, they do have Saphira's Attendant, a level 1 ally that when invoked, discard a spell from your hand as cost, draw a card on it, spend 1. Looks like they're pitching another useless Halo's Ascension. They don't really need the second one because that Swift effect is a hard once per turn, allowing them to unexpend 1 Spirit and draw one card. Let's say they're proceeding to combat phase, and they're using their two monsters, their Scavenger Crab and their Bone-Tooth Leviathan, to slaughter my Drazari. My Drazari will be going down, ladies and gentlemen. I will be taking 3 points of damage. However, it would appear that they have no follow-up. But they drop the spell Rising Water, a once per turn spell that forces me to discard the top card of my deck, and then based on the number of cards in my lost area, which is 20, they get to draw a card for every 10. So for 10 they draw, 20 they draw. My opponent's going to be getting a free draw 2 cards right now, letting them refit their hand. Hopefully those 2 cards are nothing important. But their turn is over, and I once again have to discard a card for my Tsunami. I still have a pretty commanding lead with 2 powerful level 3s in my field. So long as I don't choke, I should still have this game. We're going to draw 2 cards from our deck here. I'm going to Spirit the Runic Connection, because while this is a nice aura, I don't really need an aura right now. I need to kill my opponent. And to kill them, we're going to summon the biggest guy in our hand, the Dragon Spawn. The level 4 vanilla monster. He's big and he's beefy. See what I do. Also, keep in mind, our Chihao is no longer 24,000. I have an extra card in my Spirit now. It's 26,000. He's absolutely ginormous. Using the Dragon Spawn, I clear the way of the Saphira's Attendant. They once again use their Halo Ascension to mitigate some of the damage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I opt to use my 2 level 3 allies to smack them directly in the face for 6 damage, giving myself a 10 life lead, putting them down to only 4 hit points. And now, because I attacked, Bladed Savage will re-engage himself, giving me an ample blocker to protect my own life points. But I'm not even done, ladies and gentlemen. Going into my second main phase, I will cast the Aura of the Beast to destroy the Bone-Tooth Leviathan. How am I able to do this, you might ask? Well, Aura of the Beast is a spell that once per turn, I can expend a spirit and target an ally I control, aka Dragon Spawn, and an ally my opponent controls with less power, aka Bone-Tooth Leviathan, and destroy it. Bone-Tooth Leviathan is no more. I've got a full field, and they're down to just a crab and a few measly hand cards. And I'm ahead by 10 hit points. Needless to say, I'm feeling pretty good despite only having 15 cards left in my deck. Let's see if they can do anything to counteract it. Picking up 2 cards from the top of the deck, it's now their turn to Spirit Phase. What will they be Spirit Phasing, I wonder? It looks like the second Medallion Arcanist has hit the Spirit, and what will they be playing? Looks like another big beefy level 5 is coming down. Yes, sir. They're going to be spending 2 Spirit here. For Angel of Vigilant Warfare Sephira. This is a powerful level 5 that when it attacks as a trigger effect, it gets to target any spell in the lost area and cast it without paying any cast costs that expend your Spirit. But then it gets placed on the bottom of the deck instead of the lost area, recycling the spell and allowing them to reuse that spell. Also, it appears they're following up with another Frilled Serpent. Let's see what spell they choose to cast. They proceed to combat phase and use their Scavenger Crab and their Frilled Serpent to obliterate Bladed Savage, clearing the way. Alright, that's fine. I'll take 2 damage. They then use their Angel of Vigilant Warfare Sephira to kill their Dragon Spawn, obliterating it off the field, and I'll take another 2 damage. Just like that, my field's looking a little sparse. And what spell will they be casting off their Sephira? There's only one I think they would cast. Hydro Burst. Not only do they not have to pay that expend 1, I now have to mill another 3 cards from my deck. And on top of that, their Scavenger Crab is going to give them yet another draw. So they're going to draw a card and force me to mill 3 more. And that Hydro Burst gets placed on the bottom of the deck. Absolutely brutal. But their turn is over. I have to discard another card for Tsunami. and I'm down to only 11 cards in my deck. It's my turn. I take my draw phase and my spirit phase, drawing my 2 cards, and I spirit the Denka. It's not going to help me here. My opponent is only on 4 life points, and all of their allies are restrained, ladies and gentlemen. They are defenseless. I invoke my 2 Dragonic Shot Troopers to the field. My 1 with the Earth Chi-Hao rises even further to 28,000 damage. That's a big, beefy boy. 1 with Earth Chi-Hao attacks and destroys Angel of Vigilant Warfare Sephira. I have to mill a card. It doesn't even matter. I can sacrifice the rest of my deck if I want to. 8 cards left in deck. I don't need any more. Sephira has gone to the graveyard. They're down to 1 measly life point, and both of their allies are restrained. Dragonic Shot Trooper attacks them directly, reducing their life points to 0. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the game. It is over. And that is how a game of Arakai can be played. With this video, you now know how to invoke allies, how to cast spells, how your spirit phase, draw phase, attack phase all work. You know how to support with allies. You know how to use all the cards at your disposal. And with the last video, you know how to read your cards. There's going to be one more video in this trilogy of tutorials. In the next one, we're going to be building a deck together using the Excel sheet, where I will teach you how to build your very first Arakai deck on untap.in. Stay tuned for that. Again, if you would like to learn more about this game or you're interested in playing with us, the link to the Discord will be down below in the description. We're more than welcome to have you. And we're more than welcome to have you part of the community, even if you don't want to play. We're a very welcoming and friendly group, and I hope to see more of you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.